How primitive building videos are staged by SunnyV2. We're gonna watch this now.
Almost every single primitive building channel is underpinned
Alright.
by countless different eyes, and we've got tons of evidence to prove it.
Email from a cameraman that works for one of these channels. Sunny makes really good edited documentary type stuff.
Building channels, and certainly not all of them. After sifting through forum
I
post
can barely
after
hear you.
forum post about the ways in which these primitive buildings lie, in order to generate sometimes up to 500 million views per video,
Yeah, okay,
users
that's fair.
continued to
Low
mention
quality.
one name over and over, crediting him as
Actually.
legitimate amongst the sea of phonies: Primitive Technology. The 10.4 million subscriber channel, which is run by an Australian.
Yeah, I've actually watched this guy before. This is where they build houses out of mud or whatever. It's pretty cool, actually. Apparently, it might be fake though.
Named John Plant basically invented the primitive construction genre, all the way down to the sound design of silence mixed with rainforest noises, with Primitive Technology even stating in a Reddit AMA that originally it was out of laziness in not putting narration in the videos, but then the silent format became popular, so I kept it that way. When going back to the beginning of these silent relaxing videos, it becomes pretty obvious as to why they're credited as seeming pretty legit.
Yeah, because it looks
In terms
real.
of authenticity. Primitive Technology cuts no corners in showing how each stage of the construction is completed legitimately. For example, when examining his very first video, he shows the axe head being sharpened, a log then being cut by the axe, then the logs being crafted together in a way that feels realistic. All of this is accompanied by specific captions explaining what's going on in that very moment, alongside a full description of the build, all the way down to how long the construction
9 months,
took. His builds
30
never
days.
include swimming pools or anything over the top, yet feel impressive as they seem to be on the cutting edge of what is and isn't possible to build by hand. The legitimacy of some of his more impressive builds, such as this brick hut, could be supported by YouTube comments such as this one, which stated, "I actually know John personally. He was a really good friend. We live in the same town, although I haven't seen him since he went viral. I have fond memories of him telling us that he was building huts out of bush and had no idea they were so legit, before going on to credit him as a pretty authentic guy from a personal relationship standpoint." All of this is incredibly important to understand, as Primitive Technology's videos set a baseline for what should and shouldn't be achievable in a natural setting. Additionally, Primitive Technology has been kind enough to provide us with a statement, which will be referred to as we look at the channels on the other end of the spectrum, also known as the fakers.
Oh, so does he not fake it?
Is that with so much time
And everybody else does?
There's plenty of time to set things up illegitimately. And with Primitive Technology's very first video receiving over 44,000 Reddit upvotes and 30 million views, it's no surprise that copycats with less integrity began to pop up.
Oh yeah, that's no way.
On these channels, the buildings were taller, the slides were longer, and the water was suspiciously more blue.
And to be a blue color, why is it so blue? Probably because the promise didn't die or something. There's no reason for it to look so blue like that.
Even more interestingly, almost all of these channels
that's really
were
interesting.
the exact same area, being Cambodia, Thailand, or Vietnam, yet often geotag the United States, claim to be living in the United States, and have their social blade country set to the United States. The overall production and build quality on these channels is arguably far more impressive than the OG Primitive Technology, to the point where you have to ask yourself, are they really creating these structures out of mud and sticks?
It doesn't seem like it.
A little bit of research, the answer to this question is most certainly no. The best evidence for this is found when looking at a 5 million subscriber channel called Primitive Technology Idea, whose failure to cover up the ways in which they fake their videos make them almost comical to watch. Take for example this episode titled "Building
the way they cut him up
Crocodile to the Secret Underground House and Swimming Pool," in which the first shot shows 2 men digging on the surface.
Wait, what? Building underground water maze crocodile to the street.
2 men digging on the surface, then in the next frame they're in an 8-foot deep trench. Now, if they're digging this deep with sticks...
Yeah, that's actually suspicious. They don't even put like a time lapse or anything. That's kind of crazy. I need to pause this video more so that I'm not actually just like
how would they
stealing
avoid large rocks and potential tree roots from, you know, the massive line of trees seen just behind them? Are they being assisted by large machinery? Well, we'll get to that in a little bit, but first, let's focus on the idea that it's only 2 people doing these impressively large primitive...
I watched this show, it's an anime called Dr. Stone, and they basically lived in modern times, then everything got frozen from like this like thing in the sky that we don't know about in the show yet. I'm doing a very bad job of explaining it, but everybody got stoned, and then this one guy got unstoned because of this miracle fluid, and then basically he's trying to bring the world back through science, and he like builds stuff like this, and it's really cool. It just reminded me of that.
Construction.
You should watch the show, by the way. Good show.
Attempting to portray, it probably would have been best not to include the clip where a guy in a white t-shirt can be seen working on the...
Bruh. Caught in 4K, dog. And where do you get these crocodile statues from? Like, no shot you built up by
If it
hand.
were just these three guys, it
Oh,
still
okay.
wouldn't be that bad. However, further
Yeah, that
evidence
actually
suggests
looks
that they have far
pretty
more
real.
help than this. At the start of the week, a community post was made on this channel in the hope that someone
Hey
who worked
Legends,
with one of
looking
these
for someone.
primitive builders
Hey Legends, looking for someone who will be willing to share their experience working with or owning one of these bizarre pool building type channels. Alternatively, if you have seen some unique, undisguised insight into what really goes on behind the scenes / between camera shots on these strange channels, it would be great to hear from you.
would be willing to share their experience in doing so. We received countless emails which were all super helpful.
Hey dude, I'm
but
watching
one
your.
email
Okay.
stood out as being incredibly unique. That email was incredibly from one of
Hi,
the cameramen
I'm
who
an
works on one of these
associated.
largest
I'm an
Southeast
associate
Asian
with
primitive building channels. His name and the channel he works for have both been blurred out, as it'd be a little unfair for him to get in trouble for simply trying to help out. But the email
Yeah.
began by stating, as you may have suspected, it's not as streamlined as the video would suggest. It is a large operation, as you may suspect, with
Oh, okay. Well, he just type exposed them. That's kind of crazy. W for Sunny blurring it out because he would have been absolutely like probably to killed him IRL in GTA. I mean,
After he then offered to answer any questions we had about their channel, we attempted to figure out how many different people will work on the actual construction part of the project from start to finish, to which he would respond, it is depending on the scale of the project, but no less than 1 dozen or more, before going on to explain that within his team, there is a director for the acting done. There is also a hired architect to obviously make sure the structure will not collapse and will last long enough to film in, and obviously afterwards many editors are involved. In case an email from someone who works from one of these primitive builders isn't enough evidence, it's time to introduce a different channel called Photo Expression, who incredibly
okay, I've never seen this before, but they look this looks relatively indie. We're deciding to come after them, but let's see. Oh, survival.
put
Oh,
upon
he
one of these
exposed
primitive
them.
construction sites before capturing over 8 minutes of footage with a drone. We'll refer to different parts of this footage throughout our video, but for now it can answer the question of how many people are really working on these sites. There's initially a clip where 8 different workers can be seen standing around a rectangular hole in the jungle, followed by another grainier clip from a far distance where somewhere between 7 and 10 people can be seen building a swimming pool. If they were honest about how many people were working on each project, it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. But it should be noted that some of these videos specifically state in the description that I've been working.
Yeah, that's straight up lying to your viewers. That's actually insane. Like, just be honest about it. Even if it's like just people building it.
Two friends.
Never actually watched those. You should. Just be honest. Like, it's so weird. People will still be impressed. Will be still impressed by the builds. You're just getting like extra brownie points for yourself at that point. Like, it's not that big of a deal. You're just getting yourself into more trouble and stuff like this.
What else are they lying about? Well, how about the incredible fire pits that they seem to create effortlessly?
Going back to the statement
made to us by primitive
that's an insane fire pit.
That maybe the fire making in their videos was fake. It's hardly surprising that he brought this up, as when you compare his meticulous method of creating fire in the wild to the fire making of these Southeast Asian primitive channels, as mentioned previously, it becomes comical.
Wait, they didn't even show it.
They stack a couple of rocks together before beginning an explosive fire on large logs with no kindling whatsoever. John went on to state that if they're faked...
Yeah, that is... If they're fake simpler skills, then they're certainly faking more complicated ones. Yeah.
Certainly faking more complicated ones, which turns out to be true, as when looking at another video by Primitive Technology,
I dropped my remote.
It becomes obvious that not only are these guys faking simple things such as fire, these guys are also faking the most labor-intensive exercise of all, the digging process itself. This video with over 6...
Alright, guess we just gotta wait for this. I forgot videos have ads on them. This to be a pain to watch for the reaction.
When I first started Eve, I was
it's kind of a pace breaker, but it's whatever, I guess.
Really tired of getting.
Gotta deal with what you gotta deal with. Uh oh, did the stream go offline?
63 million views begins as most do. A shirtless guy draws a big
okay, the stream's still good.
To dig it out. Only in the next frame, suddenly there's spray paint on the ground that they forgot to rub out. Additionally, on the wall of the hole, these long, smooth cuts can be seen, which are completely incomparable to the cuts being made by the stick. Well, there's a reason for this. Turns out spray paint marks were the only thing that
spray paint is crazy. You're actually like hiding like that's diabolical. I'm not gonna lie.
about, as
That's
in
a
the
lot
minutes
of
that
effort.
follow, excavator tracks can be seen
Oh yeah,
here,
that definitely looks fake. That definitely is fake. Yeah, you can tell it's spray paint.
here, and here. In a different video by the same channel, the same person can be seen working very hard digging out a similar hole, which to their credit contains no excavator tracks around it. One mistake they did make, however, was that they forgot to take the actual excavator out of the top right-hand corner. According to the email sent to us by the cameraman on one of these channels, approximately 70% of the digging is completed by machinery, whilst 30% is completed by hand, given how much of the work lies in simply digging. But men still do plenty of digging. As you may guess, in small underground spaces, it is impossible to fit a skid steer loader in the hole. Most of the actual construction is done by a hired team of specialized builders, from my understanding, and they work with only intrinsic tools. The dirt is removed by skid steer loaders and offloaded elsewhere, and skid steer loaders
I have no idea what any of this means, but it sounds pretty cool.
Whilst incrementally we film the builders doing superficial works on the hole. The video in which the excavator can be seen in plain sight then goes on to strangely display the collection of concrete from a river, which is the exact same clip reused from the previous video.
Nice.
Why would they reuse the same clip twice in two different videos? Well, it's because collecting concrete from a river is completely and utterly bogus. Concrete doesn't grow in a river.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Wait, concrete grows?
To a civil engineer who
Hold on. I'm a civil engineer and I've watched quite a these videos and was answering concerns. A lot of cement is incredibly fake. Cement star. Okay, yeah.
commented
You
on
have
one
to
of
make
those
cement. It
videos.
just
But
doesn't like come up.
This is incredibly fake. Cement requires a precise combination of different raw materials and then receives considerable heat treatment in order to make the powder we all know and love / hate. What's even funnier is that every single one of these channels has their own unique method for creating natural concrete. This channel's concrete is simply a mix of dirt and water, which, if you think about it for 2 seconds, doesn't create concrete and rather creates mud. Water or mud, which is just dirt after the water dries. This other channel gets a little bit more creative with it by taking a chunk out of a termite nest, grinding it down into powder, mixing it with water, then concreting an entire pool with this small chunk of termite nest.
Nice.
Neither of these compare to the fakest channel of them all, Primitive Technology Life, which decides to just skip the concrete altogether and go with good old rocks and dirt. However, that's not the only suspicious thing about this shot. You'll notice when looking at the bamboo that each branch has a suspiciously clean cut on the end.
Oh,
Compare this
yeah.
to Primitive Technology, the legitimate channel from Australia, who in one video displays what the end of a log should actually look like, and you'll notice pretty quickly that these pieces of bamboo weren't naturally cut inside.
They were cut by like a machine or somebody else.
Right. These pieces of bamboo weren't either,
I think I just
which,
saw a
as
mosquito.
displayed in
That's
the
not
video,
good.
were attached together then used to siphon water from a river to the pool. Only there was no river. Photo Expression found the exact site of this pool, then stated in his video that in reality, the closest water source was more than 6 kilometers away. Instead, he found a bunch of blue plastic piping attached to a tap in the ground. Going back to the email from the cameraman, the water for their channel just comes in cubic containers that is transported there. A very funny part is any scene where you see them sourcing water from some magnificent waterfall or lake, they're actually going somewhere perhaps hundreds of kilometers away and pretending to take it back. The video in which Photo Expression had stumbled upon various completed primitive builds also showed that after these channels are finished building,
whoa, that's an actual giraffe?
the sites are simply left to rot. This video doesn't speak for every Southeast Asian primitive building channel, but in this particular case, rubbish was left everywhere, including, as you might guess, cement bags. The fact that the videos are fake isn't the most concern, it's the destruction of the land that's concerning. Now, if this was public rainforest, you could probably consider this a pretty big deal, but according to the cameraman's email,
oh yeah, I'm definitely getting bit up. I just found a new mosquito bite.
Privately owned land, which is leased for the purposes of the video. If this is the case, maybe Photo Expression is in the wrong for snooping around and filming on someone else's property. We're kidding, of course, but if the builds are being completed on privately owned land, it's a little narcissistic to comment on what they should and shouldn't do with it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Technology, the original legitimate Australian channel, put it best in his email to us when he said, "My advice to people who really want to know if the techniques on display are legitimate is to put them into practice and see. If you can follow the steps and get a similar result, then it's probably legit." He added that these corner cutting channels are motivated by money and status alone, rather than a true interest in primitive technology, but wanting to stay out of internet drama, leave it up to the discerning viewer to decide what's real and what's not.
W viewer? Yo, I'm not gonna lie, this guy could actually make like for really good reactions.